As it's now known, I have made the painful decision for me to step down from being the candidate and the member of Parliament for Saffron Walden. It's not been an easy decision. I've had the great honour and privilege of representing the constituency for almost within a relatively handful of days for 40 years. I was chosen after the untimely death of Peter Kirk in 1977 at the age of 48. And funnily enough, he was a Yorkshireman, as I was also born in Yorkshire. And at one time in my earlier parliamentary existence, when I had a marginal seat in Greater Manchester, shared the distinction, if you call it that, with Harold Wilson, of being the only two Yorkshiremen representing Lancashire seats. So when my name came into contention for Essex, for an Essex seat, people were dubbing me the man from Manchester, which was irritating, and certainly I was not, as it were, a native-born Mancunian. But I have, I think, taken to an understanding of all that Saffron Walden is about. I did have previous knowledge through being a young politician in the voluntary side of my party, covering East Anglia. And I am immensely grateful for the relationship that has been established over the years with so many communities and so many people whom I've tried to help. And I think basically that's what being a Member of Parliament is all about. Of course, scrutinising the government. I never made it to be a minister, unlike my distinguished predecessor but one, R.A. Butler, who served 36 years. I have beaten him, if that's anything to boast about. I don't know as it is, but Saffron Walden has had two very long-standing MPs over a period of time. I suppose my greatest honour in my parliamentary career was to be chosen as the senior deputy speaker, a post in which I served 13 years, and that was a wonderful moment. Since I stepped down from that in 2010, I've also done a lot of work with the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, trying to build understandings between parliaments across the world, which that are members of the Commonwealth, something in which I strongly believe. I was disappointed by the EU referendum result. I've always believed from a very early age, having remembered the war, that it was important for European nations to unite together. Not necessarily as it turned out in the framework of how the EU was developed, because I think certain things were rushed and people were going in a direction which was not accepted by everybody, as we're seeing now the attitudes in France and the Netherlands and Germany. But it is important for Europe somehow to keep together, to keep a sense of unity. And I hope that we shall be able to strike a sensible deal with them so that the important things that affect our vital national interests will in fact be protected. I entirely back Theresa May. I think she's a strong leader, and I very much hope that she is going to have a long spell at the head of our government. And I sense that people warm to her and recognise the strength of her leadership. So in many ways, I'm sorry to be departing from active involvement in the House of Commons, but I shall continue to keep an interest, and I hope maintain the friendships and affection of the people that I've tried to represent.